Hi everyone, welcome to these readings that I'm doing tonight for the equinox coming up tomorrow and also for the full moon in Libra. So we have an equinox, we have a full moon on the equinox this year, which is obviously quite exciting. It signals a very, very big energetic shift for us, especially because this full moon is also placed at 0 degrees Libra, which places it in conjunction with the supergalactic center at 1 degrees Libra. So this is a really, really big event, a really, really big equinox. All equinoxes are big, but it's a really big full moon. There's just this extra level of power to it. I feel that we might be getting off into the new astrological year with a bang. Therefore, if we work with this energy effectively and release what we need to. Hi, super angry koala. So I'm going to start off in a moment by pulling cards to get the picture for the collective, and then I'll move on to the 12 signs. Obviously, if you're here, please say hi. Let me know how you're doing. I'm hoping you're all getting plenty of rest in the run-up to what I feel is going to be a shift more into action as time goes on as well. So things are going to be moving forward very, very quickly. It's very, very exciting. Hi, La Luna. So I'm going to start off first of all by looking into things for the collective, and then we'll get a sense of where the signs are at with this. We're looking specifically at the equinox, at the full moon. So there's a lot. There's both release, but there's also intention setting going on, and why you might not always set intentions by the full moon. With this being an equinox, with us sort of moving back into the light in the northern hemisphere, and even the southern hemisphere, where they move away from the light, so the cycles are slightly different. It's still obviously a huge, huge deal. There's a reason why this is traditionally the start of the year. Hi, Asma. So, cards for the collective for the equinox and the full moon in Libra. Let's have a look. Lovely to see all of you here this evening. Okay, let's get a sense of what the collective is up to. Okay. Happy birthday, Asma. Okay, so firstly, wow, we feel tired. Like collectively, I feel like it's hard to get out of bed. I feel for a lot of us at the moment. And I feel that's going to shift, but it's like we're stirring and getting ready to move into action. But it's been a bit of a struggle coming to this stage, and part of this is because there is just this stuff that we haven't quite released yet. I feel their attachments to people in particular, but also to ways of doing things that just don't fit anymore, and we want to leave these behind, and yet we're feeling like we have this commitment to acting a certain way or being around certain people, and that is what is stopping us from doing so. And we're kind of looking back on how these things have served us well in the past, how we've had good relationships with people, this kind of thing, but it's a bit rigid. We're not really moving forward, and we know that we need to be letting these things go and moving on. With the 8 of Cups coming up in the conscious position, there is entirely this sense that, okay, this has to stop, this has to end, this has to move on, or at least my relationship to this has to move on. I can't build my life around what it was built around before. It just doesn't work anymore. We're reluctant to do so. With the 3 of Pentacles, I feel this real wrench, and that's what's slowing us up almost, because we don't feel great about those things anymore. We don't feel they are as important in our lives anymore, but we still tell ourselves they are because it's familiar. And because it's familiar, we don't quite let go. So we look back to how these things have helped us and nourished us, how we've had good times with these people, how this has been really bright in the past with the sun coming up. But the sun isn't the place where we get to stay. It's not where we're at right now. So there is a need to push ourselves to change the ways we relate to those things. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we just release or eject all people or ways of doing things out of our lives in a flash, but it means that we loosen our connection to them. We loosen our relationship to them. We become freer and more able to act with the Knight of Wands. And I feel with this Knight of Wands, it's all about giving ourselves like sort of the guidance as something better ahead of us. So we're playing this role in relation to ourselves as well as to each other. And there is a need to almost like really kick ourselves into action. And that's what they were showing me as well. And it comes from that release. It comes from that release. And as we make that release, as we release the attachment to or dependency on things or people that we can't relate to in the same way anymore, that can't play the same central role in our lives that they did, or at least not in the same way, then we move into a more fluid space, a space that's more open, that's more receptive, and that's more intuitive, more able to receive what is necessary to guide us on the way forward. And that we have here with the Queen of Cups. So I feel that we're moving into that stage. We're moving into a stage where we don't need to feel like we're going to be overwhelmed if we make those changes, if we make those shifts. But it does mean that we have to stop feeling responsible for things that we've outlived or outgrown, or that we can't connect to in the same sense anymore. Keep the memories, celebrate the memories, but we have to go about things a bit differently now. We owe it to ourselves to go about things a bit differently now. And that needs us to be a bit more dynamic in finding those new things. That's kind of the picture for the collective. And what that means in terms of an equinox and a full moon is that we're coming back to life. We're coming back to life, but you can't come back to life if you still stay in semi-hibernation. It doesn't work. And you can't, come back to life if you haven't released those old ways of relating to things. And it's how we relate. I don't feel it's necessarily the people or the things that we do, but it is how we relate to them, the amount of our lives we allow them to take up, the way in which we tie ourselves into ways of doing things. And that really is the big, big shift. But we're moving somewhere far more fluid with the Queen of Cups. And we do so by accepting the Eight of Cups, where we move away from that, or at least change our relationship to it. It's not about feeling responsible for things that we've outgrown. Coming up from here, I'm going to move on to pulling cards for the 12 signs. Hi, LV7095LV. Hi, Kia. Hi, Teresa. So I'm going to start off by pulling cards now for Aries, and we'll make our way through all of the signs. So Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. For the Equinox and the full moon in Libra. So Aries, the Sun is poised to enter your sign. Very exciting times for you. Very, very exciting times for you, Aries. So let me see what that means for you. Aries. Aries. Okay, Aries. Okay, Aries. Okay, Aries, so it's like this. I feel like you have this relationship focus, and it's not about who you're around at the moment, who you might be connecting to at the moment, or anything like it. I feel that there are old hurts, old relationship patterns, old ways of relating to people, which you have really held quite central to yourself. And it's made you a little avoidant in starting something new, or else it's made you quite rigid in your relationship style or pattern. And so you expect that if you get involved with somebody, it goes a particular way, and that's quite limiting for you. And as a result, you look at a potential situation and then you apply this old model to it. Excuse me. And you don't like how the old model fits to it, so then you turn away. But there's a need to go back and look at that again at this time, Aries, because things are a bit different and how you relate can be different. So you have a Five of Cups situation, and with the Five of Cups, you have this expectation that things go wrong, go a certain way, nothing lasts. If you put your heart into something fully, your heart gets broken or gets hurt, or anything else, and that's based on an old way of relating to people. But I don't feel like you have to relate to the people in your life now in the same way. You see, I don't feel like any relationship you go into at this time, or even when you start broaching, moving towards that, because you're not wonderfully open at the moment, Aries. I feel that you expect conflict, or you expect your own inner conflicts and issues to be triggered. This makes you quite rigid because you feel that there's going to be this Five of Wands situation coming up. So you're like, if I get involved, if I expose myself, suddenly I'm going to get drained. I'm going to be at their throat. They'll be at my throat, or be harming our relationship that we have to each other. And therefore, things are going to go very, very badly. So you're still focused on these past upsets, these past hurts, past ways of doing things, rather than giving things a chance. But you're in a new time, in a new phase, and you're about to be moving forward. You're about to be moving forward, and you can't do that if part of you still sits back in the past, in the old way of doing things, Aries. So there is this need for you to give things a chance. With the Chariot, you're in a place where you're much freer than that, more able to move, and you can be much freer within relationships as well. I feel like your feeling is that if you get involved with somebody, then you get tied down or tied into old patterns or whatever else, and you relive them, but it doesn't have to. With the Chariot, you're a lot freer than that, and things can actually move more freely as well as more swiftly at this time. It doesn't have to be like it was before. With the Ten of Cups showing up as well, the message is that you can actually be happy with someone. You can genuinely be happy, and it doesn't have to be like it was before. You don't have to relate to them in the way that you've related to past people. You're just allowed to be freer, much, much freer within it. You see, your final card is the Devil, and the Devil is not a bad thing here. The Devil here is really, really free. Really, really free, able to enjoy herself, able to be in this space and just let loose a little bit. And the sense that I get is that you feel you can't have that in a relationship, that a relationship is constricting, is restrictive, because that's how you've experienced them before. But there's no need for that. With the Chariot, with the Ten of Cups, and with the Devil, things can be way, way freer for you, but you have to allow yourself to be open to that, Aries, to feel your way in and not to apply any old model or way of relating to it, because that feels like what's holding you back. That's what you need to be releasing or moving away from at this time. And that then allows you to embrace this freer approach in terms of relating to people in your love life. I hope that makes sense to you. Hi to everyone just tuning in. Hi, Millie. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Trisha. So the next sign up is going to be Taurus. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. For the equinox and the full moon in Libra. Taurus. Taurus. Now, if you're here, please like the video. Okay, Taurus. Let me see what you're dealing with for this full moon and equinox, Taurus. What's your new beginning? What's your area of release? Okay, Taurus. It's been a big sort of plodding on for you, Taurus. You've been sort of like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. These are things that I need to do, so I'm going to do them, but I'm not really happy about it. Not really enthused, not in the mood. This might mean work, this might be relationships. It mostly feels like work, but there's this sense of doing things in the same old way, and you're just getting a bit sick of it. And I feel it's just a bit slow, a bit focused, a bit boring for you. So there's a need to kind of explode and move away from that at this time, Taurus. And I feel that part of the problem is that you're committed to this old way of doing things, these old ways of working, which don't necessarily get you very far. I feel they sustain you, they keep you going, but they become a drag. They become a drag. So some of you need to kind of spice things up a little bit. You have the Queen of Wands showing up for you, first of all. And with the Queen of Wands, there is a need to really reach into what actually inspires you, energizes you, enthuses you, because it's not necessarily the things you've been working on or doing lately. And it's no surprise that you feel quite drained. That doesn't mean you can just quit all the jobs that you have, but I feel you don't have to spend quite so much time thinking about them, focusing on them. They just sort of happen in the background. You don't need to focus on them so much, but what you do need to do is feel a bit more creative, a bit more inspired with the Queen of Wands. There is just this need to be more outgoing, more charismatic, and to reach for something that you actually want. She's literally reaching for a star here. So what can you reach for at this time, Taurus? What do you actually desire that you can move towards? Because I feel that if you're not moving towards what you desire at this time, you have a problem, because you're going on and maybe around in a few circles, but you're not quite getting there. And you're not quite getting there because you don't allow yourself to reach for what you want. I feel that in terms of what you want, there is a need to potentially take on more responsibility, possibly start a new form of work, or simply set your sight a bit higher, have a bit more belief that you can actually be a bit more comfortable, a bit more successful, because the King of Pentacles is coming up, and this is where you need to head towards. You head towards that by reaching for what you want. At the moment, with the Three of Pentacles, I just feel like you're going through the motions. There are bosses around you. You're not really doing what you want to. You're not really working for yourself, not really focused on what you truly desire, and that's causing you issues. And you're a bit scared of walking away from the way that you've been working, the way you've been doing things, because you're like, what if I'm left with nothing? What then? And I feel that you have like this emotional attachment to working in this way, Taurus, but it's not something that's helping you. So you have the Five of Cups showing up as well. So the question there is, what is the belief system, the thought pattern that means that you don't feel like you can have more, achieve more, get more. There's an abundance issue here. It's something that has to be worked on, but it feels that it comes potentially from somebody putting you down at some stage in life, making you feel that you can only ever be subordinate, only ever like a piece in the machinery, never achieving things for yourself, never powerful enough to reach for yourself, but instead stuck here. And there's this hurt that is causing it, old hurt that is causing it, that you haven't fully resolved. So there is this need now to really get into your heart space, Taurus, you more than most, and actually get a handle on what's driving this and what you truly want, what your emotions tell you. And you need to be therefore very, very kind to yourself. You need to reassure yourself, acknowledge your own desires, where you actually want to be in terms of work, in terms of creativity, in terms of life. Where do you want to be that you're not at the moment? And what is the shift that you can make that allows you to head towards that, rather than staying exactly where you are doing the exact same things? That to me seems like the key question for you. Your final card is the King of Cups. So you need to be able to harness your feelings, your desires, and your emotions and act upon them. You're being asked to be quite mature, quite decisive, because you have King of Pentacles, King of Cups, and Queen of Wands all showing up. So you need to reach for what your heart desires, what your heart wants. What is that, Taurus? How does that differ from what you're doing at the moment, what you're settling for at the moment? Because you've got to think big as we go into this stage. It then needs you to go and be prepared to go and get that. It won't necessarily be easy. It's a lot of work. Could be stressful, but it's better than just doing the same old thing and never really moving forward. And that has to be your area of focus and the intentions that you set for this new astrological year, Taurus. That is where you move towards. I hope that makes sense to you. The next sign is going to be Gemini. Gemini. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising for the equinox and the full moon in Libra. Gemini. 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 Okay, Gemini. Okay, Gemini. Gemini, you're not telling people what you think of them, how you feel about them, how you feel in relation to how they are towards you, how you feel about your connection or relationship to them. You've settled into a way of relating to them, a very, very old way, or at least a very, very rigid way at the moment. And that's not doing you any favors. It's not allowing you or them to develop. I feel it's not allowing you or them to develop because you're not necessarily being quite assertive enough, potentially. I feel that you're trying to charm people. I feel you're trying to charm people. You're trying to be what they need, what you feel they need, but you're not being who you need. You're not being who you need, and it's holding you back. It's either locking you into relationships or friendships that don't develop and move, or locking you into ones that should have left your life some time ago, or it means that the ones you're in don't flow, don't become what they need to, because you're in this space where you're not being totally open and honest, Gemini. I feel you're not being totally open and honest, and that includes when somebody upsets you or isn't treating you right, you're sort of putting up with it. You're putting up with it rather than sort of assert yourself. And that's stopping things from deepening or becoming what they need to. So there's a lack of self-love at the same time, Gemini. Your first card is Judgment. So with Judgment, there is this need to be allowing things to move forward, move on to the next level, or dissolve if they're not suitable for you. But you're not allowing that to happen. You're trying to pretend that everything is fine, that you're fine, that nothing hurts with the Queen of Wands, and you're allowing other people to just do what they want, and you're sort of trying to people please, charm them, this kind of thing. It's not wonderfully healthy. I feel that you're under a bit of control as a result, and you're controlling them or controlling the situation by abdicating your own responsibility to yourself. You need stronger boundaries, and I feel like you need to allow yourself space and move away from the people who are not right for you, or at least move away to relating to them in ways that are not right for you. So barrier shows up for you. Now, what's interesting is that it's also the case that with some of those people, you can connect to them in a much more healthy and deeper way, but you can't connect to them in a healthy and deep way if you're just running a script, being who you think they need you to be, rather than being open and honest about your needs and how you feel towards them. The Two of Cups is showing up for you, Gemini. So this is about you connecting to them in a more meaningful way, but it's also about self-love for yourself. You're not going to get deep connections if you're not showing yourself the kind of love and respect that you need to actually be yourself, and not just be somebody who is whatever the person around them needs to be, Gemini. This is what you need to release. And you either release that relationship entirely, or you allow it to become something more by acting that way within it. But either way, you deepen your connection to yourself and possibly to other people if there is space for it to deepen. But you can't do that if you're not being yourself, if you're not being honest. You know, you're allowed boundaries. You're allowed to say, actually, this is who I am. This is where you can find me. This is what I do. And then actually you're being more open and honest with people that way. Your final card is the Hierophant. So you grow from this experience. You learn from this experience. I feel that some of you really strengthen your relationship by doing this. Others of you move away from them. But in any case, what you're not doing is just holding on to how things are, which is not suiting you or helping you at this time, Gemini. That's kind of where you're at. It requires you to be that bit clearer on yourself. It requires you to love yourself more. It requires you to allow yourself to connect to people on a deeper level, which I don't feel you've been doing. So that is what has to shift as you move into this new year, Gemini. I hope that makes sense to you. Nicole is asking, am I going to be selling Zelda merch? Excuse me. What kind of merchandise would you like me to be producing, Nicole? I'm totally open to ideas and options. Next sign is going to be Cancer. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the Equinox and the full moon in Libra. Cancer. T-shirts and sweatshirts. If you want to design them for me, I'll happily market them. Cancer. 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 Okay, Cancer. Okay, Cancer. Okay, Cancer, you're stirring, you're feeling quite inspired, I feel, at this moment in time, or you're becoming this way. I feel like this equinox, this full moon, gives you a little spark of inspiration, a new idea, something you can commit to, something that kind of lifts you out of your slumber, out of the doldrums. And I feel that it's a solo project, but I feel that you're going to be inspired, ready to motivate, ready to make a long-term commitment. It feels like a new idea in terms of work. It feels like there's suddenly a new direction that you realize you can go in or develop into. And it's really inspiring you and exciting you. It's really inspiring you and exciting you, but it needs you to kind of commit to it and then be prepared to go and grasp it. Go and grasp it and don't worry about what anyone else thinks. You see, the only thing that might hold you back is feeling like you have this responsibility to other people. You need their permission, their say-so, something like that, but you don't, Cancer. So the King of Swords is coming up. So you need to be absolutely committed to following what comes through for you, your inspiration, your idea, and go after it. What you're not doing is being a Queen of Wands. So I feel that you move away from any sense of sort of relaxing, waiting for things to come to you, but also any sense of having to like excite other people with your ideas, acting for other people. This has to be for you, Cancer. This is what you go after. With the Ace of Swords, you make that decision and recognize that you're in for the long haul. In for the long haul with the Eight of Pentacles. You're going to be creating something incredible, and through it, you're going to feel so much more accomplished. So this is the commitment to yourself, Cancer. It's about working in the direction that you want to, not waiting for other people's permission, being really, really independent. Your final card is the Hermit. So you are going to create something that is very, very you. You're going to reveal something about yourself as well. I feel this as like a major area of focus, a big project that you put everything into, and that allows you to feel so much better about yourself as you are in yourself, rather than just only valuing yourself in relation to other people, in relation to what you can do for other people, to who you can be for other people. I feel that here you become that much more independently focused, and what you build is something that is very, very uniquely you. Very, very expressive of who you are. And through this, you understand more about yourself. You value yourself more. And this is going to be absolutely crucial for you. We're all moving towards following our own inspiration, our own insight with the Queen of Cups. And the key thing with that is just being able to ditch anything that stands in the way of that. Any old ways of doing things that hold us back. And for you, Cancer, I feel it's this belief that the things that you do can't ever be for you. They are only of value when they're in relation to other people. This one's for you, Cancer, and that's where you need to be heading towards. And I feel you'll get the idea, and now it's all about moving on it, working on it, committing to yourself. I hope that makes sense to you. The next sign is going to be Leo. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the Equinox and the full moon in Libra. Leo, Hi, Bless 9819. Hi, Thielo. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, Leo. Okay. Okay, Leo. Somebody has been talking to you or treating you in a way that's not great. I feel like you've been disrespected, devalued, and you've kind of put up with it and taken it and kept smiling and grinning and bearing it and going through with it. And that's all well and good. But I feel like you give people like that. There's one person in particular at the moment, but it's part of a pattern. I feel like you give them a bit too much access to you. And you allow them to do this to you, and you kind of grin and bear it, but it hurts you, and you feel like you have to deal with it all alone as well. I don't feel like you talk to many people about this, or at least not in a serious way. You're just sort of like, ugh, that's just how they are. That's just how they talk to me. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. You kind of need to honor your feelings in relation to it. And that doesn't mean reacting to them, but it does mean boundaries for you, Leo. It means actually being like, you know what? I don't want it to be like this anymore. I deserve better. I deserve to be treated better. You can talk to me in a better way. And I've got support and people who will support me much better. The first card showing up is your card, Leo. It's strength. And with strength showing up, this is about you, yes, not being like pushed around, pulled around, or made to feel terrible, but it's also about honoring yourself and your own feelings, Leo. Honoring yourself and your own feelings, but not as a 9 of Pentacles, where you just feel, I just need to be independent, do everything myself. I'm okay. They can't touch me because I'm doing the right by myself. Yes, you are doing the right by yourself, but you can have other people around you who you're better with. And you can also say no to this person talking to you in this way. You can say no to people talking down to you, being condescending to you, or just insulting to you. Excuse me, everyone. With the 4 of Cups showing up, you're allowed to just be like, nah, you don't get access to me if you treat me disrespectfully, if you treat me this way. That's sort of the main thing. With the Ace of Swords as well, I feel that if necessary, you cut those people out of your life. You draw a line. No, you can't be around me anymore if you talk to me like that. So you just grin and bear it and remain independent. You're actually like, okay, you go out, other people come in. You go out, other people come in. I feel that what stops you from doing that is a fear that these are the only people you can have around you, that you won't have other people who support you. But you will, Leo. You will, but you have to allow that to happen. You have to create some peace in your life. You have to create some space in your life. And you have to deal with the really kind of like the stuff that you repress, which is the feelings that these people, this person and these people have conjured up into you, because I feel they've made you feel a bit worthless at times. They've made you feel a bit worthless, and you're sort of like, oh, I'm fine. I'm just going to go and do this. But if people make you feel worthless or not good enough, you don't have to give them access to you, Leo. I feel this is your big change here. Starting off the new astrological year where you release the people who don't treat you right, don't talk to you right. Two of Swords comes up for you. So this to me is all about being able to recognize the impact these people have had on you, or this person has had on you, and being able to say, no, I don't want that anymore. I don't need that anymore. I would rather step away from this and maybe into the unknown than have this going on and on and on. So you make these commitments to that, to step into something new with the Ace of Swords, and to close out what's not right for you with the Four of Cups. This is all about how you value yourself, and with strength, you can absolutely see this through. This is what you're best at, Leo. I hope that makes sense to you. Thank you, Trisha. This is nothing major. It's just something that's come on over the last day or so. So coming up next is going to be Virgo. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The Equinox and the full moon in Libra. Virgo. Virgo's first card has fallen out. Virgo. Virgo. Okay, Virgo. Okay, Virgo. Pushing yourself hard, Virgo. It's all... I mean, you often hyper-focus on things, but you're hyper-focusing on things at the moment. And because you're hyper-focusing on things, I feel like you're not enjoying life enough. You're not enjoying the things that you've accomplished enough, that you've achieved enough. You're kind of pushing yourself really, really hard, possibly on things that you don't need to be pushing yourself on at this time. I feel that you feel that if you let go of them or take your focus elsewhere, they'll just fall away or disintegrate. And that's why you have the Five of Pentacles showing up. But with the Five of Pentacles, there's actually help for you. And there's also stuff that you've achieved. And there's also stuff for you to work on. But I feel there's people who will help you and support you. But you need to be celebrating yourself as well, Virgo. You see, with the Ten of Wands, I feel you're putting yourself under a lot of strain, feeling responsible for a lot of people, working really, really hard. And there is no need for that at this time. You need to be a bit freer and a bit lighter. How you get there is by recognizing yourself, recognizing the things that you've achieved for yourself, Virgo, the things that you've put into place for yourself, everything around that. So therefore, you free yourself up simply by allowing yourself to be and by celebrating yourself. You're in a position of strength with the Emperor. You've built a lot, you've accomplished a lot. And I don't feel like you necessarily allow yourself to accept that you've accomplished a lot. And because you don't allow yourself to accept that you've accomplished a lot, you put yourself under this strain, under this pressure. You hyper-focus more and more, and you're not free enough as a result of that. And I feel that things then become a drag. They become a drag, but you keep doing them, and they become a drag and you keep doing them. And then you get stuck. You get stuck, and that's not fun. Get your head up from those books. Look upwards at this time. Appreciate what you've done and allow yourself to be inspired to do other things, to learn new things, to connect with people, to take new forms of action. It doesn't have to all be all of this head down stuff, doing the same old things. You've got to free yourself up, Virgo. That is the shift that you've got to make going into this new year. This places you into a much freer place of the Page of Swords, where you're more free, more able to act, more able to learn, to do new things, to take on new things. There's a new openness to learning new things and new ways of doing things. You have a really solid base with the Emperor and the Nine of Pentacles, but you have to accept that rather than just piling more and more pressure on you over the same old things. I hope that makes sense to you, Virgo. The next sign is going to be Libra. Hi, Sith Lord Lauren. Yes, I am transgender. Hi, Yayita. The next sign is going to be Libra. Libra, sun, moon, and rising for the equinox and the full moon in Libra. So Libra, the full moon is happening in the 1st degree of your sign. Huge point in the zodiac coming up, and it's in Libra. Libra. Okay, Libra. Thank you, Sith Lord Lauren. Okay, Libra. Okay, Libra. Libra, you're in this situation. It's a love situation. There are always love situations with you, Libra. I've noticed this. You're feeling a little disappointed. You're feeling like things haven't moved along as much as you would have liked. Like things haven't developed as much as you would like. That's causing you a few difficulties. It's also, I feel, so much in your head. So I feel like you've been trying to observe your relationship. Maybe you've been trying to really scrutinize this situation with this person. And it's kind of like, oh, is this going to be something? Is it not? I feel like it's not going anywhere. I'm a bit disappointed. I'm getting a bit, it's all about the same. It's not moving forward. It's the same all the time. But you're kind of projecting a lot of that into it, Libra. And because you're projecting a lot of that into it, you're not allowing it space to grow and to develop. I feel you're hyper-focusing, hyper-scrutinizing on it. This might be part of a pattern that you need to release at this time. And this may be happening in friendships as well. It may be happening in all kinds of relationships. It might be happening in relation to work. So while it's predominantly in a love situation, I feel it's playing out in other areas of life as well. So what this is for you is the Hanged Man. Stop staring at this. Stop scrutinizing it so much. You don't have to be a Page of Swords here, Libra, ready to stare at it. Oh, I must understand everything about this. I must learn everything about this relationship. I must understand it to the nth degree. And if my understanding tells me that there's something up, then I'm going to cut away at it and get out of there, or just become a bit sort of standoffish. You can sort of loosen your grip without being standoffish with the Hanged Man, Libra. That's going to help you. I also feel like you're very fixated on what's wrong and not on what's right. And this is coming from somewhere older as well. Like you're looking for the red flags, for the danger, for the reasons to call things off, rather than looking at what's good, what's going well, how well you fit with this person, what you bring to each other, what you offer to each other. So you have the Six of Wands coming up and the Six of Pentacles. So if we look at this, this is also then about what is the energy that you're bringing to this relationship. Because it feels like it's a bit defeatist, a bit critical. Doesn't offer a lot of growth, a lot of warmth. And these are the things that you need to be bringing in. And then with the Hanged Man, seeing how that leads things. So you're doing that under no illusions, with no expectations. But you need to be connecting in that way. If you do that, not only are we dealing with the Six of Wands and Six of Pentacles that you bring into it, but you actually then get an idea of where this can go with the lovers. You can make far more of a commitment. Things become far more real, far deeper, potentially. But you have to get out of this observer space, out of this scrutinizing and critical space, out of this space where you only look at what's not right and not what is. That's the pattern that you have to break, Libra. If you're going to release anything over this full moon, over this equinox, if you're going to move into the new year differently, and you need to, then you absolutely need to move into more of an open space with the Hanged Man, but a space where you look at what's good and where you offer something as well, and where that allows you to make a commitment, rather than just being ready to cut away at things because you're not liking what you're seeing. But even that is old and is a projection a lot of the time. I hope that makes sense to you, Libra. The next sign is going to be Scorpio. Hi, Miss Kim. Hi, Shona. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the full moon in Libra and the equinox. Hi, Rena. Scorpio. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, Scorpio. Let me see what you're dealing with. Okay, Scorpio. Okay. You're quite confident at the moment, Scorpio, I feel. You're not doing badly in that sense, but I also feel like you're a little bit fixated on one way of doing things. One way things have to be. If someone gets in your way or disagrees with you, you're like, no, I know best. You're almost laughing at their ideas, dismissing them, pushing them out of the way, potentially. So you're very fixated. It's my way or the highway. Things have to be this way. Everyone else should follow me as well. They should do as I say, or at least act in a way more like me. That's kind of where you're coming in at this time, Scorpio. And I feel that you can offer guidance to people. You can be a role model to people, but I feel you don't need to be so rigid, so fixed in your ways at this time. So you have the star showing up as your main focus at this time. This is what it is for you at this time. So I feel that you're very focused in this way of doing things. You might not necessarily be getting into your feelings that much at the same time. I feel part of this might be avoiding feelings or avoiding dealing with other people and your impact on them. And there might need to be an adjustment, therefore, where you can get on with what you do and offer guidance and be a role model. But you don't need to dictate things to other people or just like laugh at them if they're somehow in your life, in your way. It's like, no, I know best. I'm going to do this. And you're not taking other people that seriously. That's not great. So it's not about being a Knight of Pentacles. It's not about just keeping on doing what you're doing, working towards the same thing. It can't be. It can't be, because that is going to shift. I feel that if you don't shift your attitude towards people at this time, Scorpio, then things might get a bit nastier, might get a bit more difficult. The rug might be pulled out from under you and force you to adjust your approach. That doesn't happen if you adjust it by yourself. But if you don't make that adjustment, you're dealing with the Tower, Scorpio. So I feel like at some stage, the universe just comes in and is just like, no, you can't do that. You can't be that way towards people. You can't be so single-minded. You have to make more room, and you have to allow yourself to feel and relate to people more, Scorpio. I feel that when you do that, you actually become more solid, more able to deal. So you have strength showing up. And with strength showing up, you become more able to deal, to relate to people in a healthier way. Because at the moment, I feel there's a bit of defensiveness, and that's why you relate to people in this way. You don't want people to get too close to the truth, to be able to influence you, to be able to touch you in a deep way. As you adjust that, as you allow people to be who they need to be, as you don't laugh at people for being different to you or going about things in a different way, but instead you just show a bit of light to them, a bit of hope to them, and that means you connect in a better way, then things are going to improve for you and they'll get more solid, and you move into the space of the Emperor. You'll become more dynamic as a result. You'll be able to change course or do more than one thing. I don't feel like you allow yourself to at the moment. But if you keep on down this path, I feel that the Tower comes in. The Tower comes in, and there's no need for it when you can just be applying a bit of strength, keeping yourself more under control, not treating people disrespectfully, but instead just showing the light, showing the way, showing the hope, but accepting that you're lighting your own path and other people don't just have to do as you're telling them, and it's okay if they're doing something else at this time. So you need to be a bit less cocky, Scorpio, a bit less cocky, a bit more serious about your relationships, and not quite so focused all on yourself and the one thing that you decide has to be done a certain way, because I feel you're missing something. And this will be taken away if you keep on going down that road. I hope that makes sense to you. The next sign is going to be Sagittarius. Hi, Sarah. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the full moon in Libra and the Equinox. Hi, Hooks Fremont. Spring Equinox for the Northern Hemisphere, Autumn Equinox for the Southern Hemisphere. Full moon at 0 degrees Libra, conjunct the supergalactic center. I think we'll all feel this one, to say the least, with all that going on. Okay, Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius, you've been quite focused on something you've been pursuing for some time, and I feel that you felt like it was in reach. You were just getting there, you were getting to the finish line, to the end point. And then suddenly, as you get there, it's like it evaporates, it's gone. It's gone, and suddenly you're therefore hit by this kind of almost what the fuck sense? What do I do? What do I do now? Oh, because you've invested a lot in that, you've banked a lot on that, and maybe you're not quite prepared to accept that it's gone. But I feel like it has gone. I feel like it was a target, it was something that you're working towards, but it's gone, and you got to make a switch. Your first card is the Tower. So I feel like this blew up. It's like, yeah, that blew up. Whatever was there for you, that blew up. It's gone. Can't control that anymore. I literally saw you like getting to the top of this thing, and then the thing that you want is just like gone, 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 gone. And I feel like you want to then think about this a lot. That's what you've been looking to do. Like, oh, okay, what can I learn from this? I want to talk to everyone about this. Maybe chat to them, complain to them, maybe beat yourself up as well. Page of Swords shows up for you in the not position, so don't be beating yourself up. Don't be fixating over it either. Some things are just taken. They go. They're not right for you, and they go. And often all you need to learn is the release. You see, I feel like you're hurt by this. You're hurt by this because it's kind of like you're like, oh, I'll never get this thing. The thing that I want. This could have been a relationship, it could have been a job situation, it could have been a way of healing something. And you're like, oh, I'll never get to it now. I'll never get to it now. What am I going to do? So it's unmasking an earlier hurt. Maybe from this life, maybe from a past life. It's unmasking an earlier hurt, but you need to be kind to yourself, to treat yourself kindly, to deal with and heal this, rather than trying to move into this mental space, which I don't feel helps you around it. You have the Six of Cups coming up. So there is this absolute need to be kind to yourself. I feel that part of you is really hurting. It's okay, this part of you is really hurting. But this was out of your control. This was out of your control. So you have to kind of relinquish that control. You have the Wheel of Fortune showing up instead. So with the Wheel of Fortune, I absolutely feel this was out of your control, not something you could do anything about. But it's actually going to benefit you in the long run. This wasn't right for you. That's why it just went and went. You're being nurtured and things are going to come together just fine for you. But there is this need to make this commitment to yourself, your own healing, to self-love, and to just allowing yourself to be and work through this. You don't have to go chasing after something else or try to recreate this. Yes, it was painful, but the pain is more connected to the past than the present with the Six of Cups. But with the Six of Pentacles, I feel that something new is going to come about. Your efforts have not been for nothing. You're not going to get the thing that you are fixated on. But out of those ashes, out of that dust, I feel something else is going to grow. So you need to release the attachment to the outcome that you didn't get, Sagittarius. The outcome that you didn't get because it wasn't quite right for you. But fortune is still going to favor you as time moves on. And I feel that something else is going to develop and you're going to be surprised by it. It's going to be beautiful for you. I feel there is help for you as well. You have to offer yourself love and help, but you are definitely going to be helped as time moves on. You don't have to fixate on this disappointment for too long, nor do you have to blame yourself, nor do you have to analyze it so much and believe there's so much to read into it. Sometimes things just go because they're not right for us, and you'll get the actual picture later on as to where all of this takes you and what it all means, Sagittarius. I hope that makes sense for you. The next sign is going to be Capricorn. Oh, excuse me, everyone. Capricorn. Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising for the full moon in Libra and the Equinox. Capricorn. Capricorn. Cappies. Okay, Capricorn. Capricorn, I feel like you're not allowing a situation to fully develop. By which, what I'm getting is that you are assuming that how a situation is now, where it's got to now, is the outcome. So you're not allowing the space for something to develop, to become more, or to change and move into what it needs to be. That's quite rigid. It's quite fixed. You're like, oh no, that's the insight. That's what I need to know from this situation. That's what this situation definitely is. And then you're sort of stifling it. You're stifling it rather than allowing yourself to keep learning and for things to keep developing. I feel like this is a relationship situation for a lot of you, but for some, it's a project you've been working on and it's got to this stage and you've assumed that's the end of it, but that's not the end of it, Capricorn. There is more to come, more to learn, more insight to gain, more light to be shown. So the Hermit shows up for you. And with the Hermit, I feel that there will be further illumination over time. There'll be further illumination over time. Excuse me, but not if you fixate on where things have got to and assuming that's the end point and the end goal with the Four of Wands. It's not. It's absolutely not. The advice is that you need to be bold. You need to be bold in allowing things to become more. I feel that you decided this is all this is going to be, or this is where this ends, because you're a bit rigid, but you need to be a lot freer. With the Page of Wands, there's this need to be so much freer, more communicative, more open to more developing. With that, you have Temperance showing up as well. And with Temperance showing up, I just feel like there is this whole cycle here that is yet to complete. You're not at the end point yet, Capricorn. But if you're projecting into it that you don't believe any more can come of it, or that it stops here, then it does stop here. With the Seven of Cups, I don't feel it does stop here. Be very, very careful about stopping here because it's not the whole story. It's not the whole picture at all. And there is more. As you continue to work at this, to put into it, to build on it, to allow it to flow, but also to actually really be quite bold and open to it, more develops. There's more to come from this situation. If you stop in a Four of Wands place, you don't get there. You go, this is all there is. I'm happy with this. I'm going to stick with this. Nothing else happens. Your area of release and work for you, Capricorn, is just allowing this situation to become more. Don't assume you know it all. You're going to have to put into it, but you'll be rewarded as that happens, and it will become more. There'll be more illuminated to you. There'll be more light, and it can become something bigger and better as a result. Don't assume you know all the answers to this just yet. There's more to come. I hope that makes sense to you, Capricorn. The next sign is going to be Aquarius. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising for the equinox and the full moon in Libra. Hi, Christine. Aquarius. I'm not sure if Nicole wants a positive reading for Aquarius or just for me to swear a lot during it. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Hi, Joel. Aquarius. There's always a lot of Aquarius energy in my readings anyway. Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, Aquarius, you've been pushing yourself hard. Like it's like wading through treacle for you. At the moment, it's really hard going. Not too much feeling in it. Having to just push on in the knowledge that you kind of know where you're going, but it's really, really hard work. But it's not a lot of fun. It's not very fulfilling for you at this time, Aquarius. And I feel that part of you is wondering, is this ever going to get there? Is this going where I truly want it to? What am I going to do about this? And that might be tiring you out. You might want to just sort of sit back and think about it. And that's causing you a lot of difficulties. You have the Hierophant showing up. So I feel like you have to push on in a sort of learned way, a traditional way, a way in which you coach yourself through this, talk yourself through this, treating this as a learning experience. I feel, though, like part of you needs to suspend a bit of judgment on where this leads to. That's very, very big. I feel that you're quite fixed on a particular outcome. And because you're quite fixed on a particular outcome, this has been much harder going because you're not sure if that's the outcome you're going to get. You're not sure if that's the outcome you're going to get, and you feel like if you don't get that particular outcome, it's not worth it. But it's not about the Nine of Cups for you, so you need to be careful about assuming that things have to turn out a particular way. Also, that you have to kind of do it all alone, and it's all about if you have the right attitude or whatever else. I feel that it's not kind of like that. I feel that you have to be open to various forms of success. And maybe completing this is success in itself, and it sets you up for something more, and you learn more about yourself in the process. I feel that the road is going to open up for you in various other ways, but not if you fixate only on one outcome being beneficial. So the Ten of Pentacles is there for you, and the Seven of Cups is there for you. So firstly, I feel that you're in a stronger place than you give yourself credit for. You're not quite as needy as you might feel. There's a lot going for you. But with the Seven of Cups, I feel that you have to be open to a range of outcomes and not prejudge this situation. Because if you do, I feel you give yourself a hard time. You give yourself a hard time rather than feeling more calm, receptive, and able to move, able to act, able to accept what comes your way with the High Priestess. So that's the sense for you, really, Aquarius, is that you need to be just a bit free within this. I feel like it is hard work, it is hard going, but you're making it harder for yourself because you've decided that it has to build towards a particular outcome. And I feel instead of that, you need to recognize that you already have a lot, and that this can be more fluid and lead you in a variety of directions if you allow it to. That's the main thing for you. It's a learning experience for you, but it's not a learning experience for you if you already presuppose the outcome. But I feel it can open you up to new places and new forms of understanding about yourself and what you do from here. I hope that makes sense to you, Aquarius. I also feel, because Nicole said about being alone, I feel there are people who are supporting you and cheering you on. This can be family members especially, but you have to be open to that as well. You don't have to do it all alone. The final sign is going to be Pisces. Hi, Gypsy Roses. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The Equinox and the full moon in Libra. Pisces. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, Pisces. Okay, Pisces. It's been so love focused for you lately, Pisces. This is another one. And the sense that I get is that you are really torn at this stage with the Two of Swords. You're one foot in, one foot out. Don't know if you want to continue with what you're doing. Don't know if you want to continue with what you're doing, and you're feeling like it's all going to fall apart. It's all going to fall apart if I stay in it. It's all going to fall apart if I leave. This is doomed. This is terrible. I don't know what to do. I feel really powerless, really helpless. Nothing I do seems to make a difference. But I don't feel things are about to fall apart for you, Pisces. You see, death is in the not position for you. So I feel that you can actually just wait this out a bit. Stay in this. Stay invested in it. Stop trying to prejudge it, Pisces, because I feel that's what you're doing. It's rooted in some hurt. It's rooted in, like, just not trusting yourself or the situation. But with the Six of Swords instead, I feel that you're being carried towards something here. This situation benefits you. I feel it's a love relationship. I feel that it's taking you to a place of deeper self-knowledge and maybe deeper connection and commitment as well. But if you are just, oh, I can't anymore, then it goes. But I don't feel it needs to. I feel you just need to surrender a little bit at this time. These are cards of surrender, the Two of Swords and the Six of Swords, more than anything else. They're saying you can't control this. You can't control it, so you have to allow it to become what it needs to. Now, with that, the King of Wands is also showing up. And with the King of Wands, I feel that this might be a fire sign that you're connecting to. And it's okay to just relinquish a bit of control and connect to them in a deeper way. But I also feel you might have to connect in a way in which you just assert yourself a bit more over time. I don't feel like you're there yet. But I feel like you have to allow for the creative potential in this relationship. You can assert that or put that energy into it. Right now, I feel the energy you're putting into this is almost one of expecting to be defeated, expecting it to go wrong. If you surrender a bit to the situation, but also just allow a bit of passion to flow in to this. Allow yourself to feel a bit more and to trust a bit more. to connect a bit more and to allow this to become more creative, more dynamic, then I feel that can create something new. And you'll understand more as well. You're learning more from this. And with the Hermit, I feel like suddenly you'll see where this can go, when it can be. But you don't get there if you continue that pattern of just walking away, giving up, projecting into it in that way, which I feel is an old pattern that doesn't apply to where you're at this time, Pisces. I hope that makes sense to you. That is all 12 signs. I have time to pull cards for a couple of people. If anyone has a question for me, please pop it in the live chat. If you'd like to book a personal reading with me, you can do that as well. My details are just in the box below. If my work helps you and you'd like to leave me a tip or a donation, my PayPal details are also just in the box below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. And obviously, feel free to get in touch with me if I can help you with anything at any time. So do I have any questions in the live chat who I can pull cards for at this time? Let me see. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Sarah. Tina is just asking for a message from Spirit. Let me have a look for you, Tina. I'll pull in a general message for you, Tina, at this time. Obviously, we can go deeper in a personal reading as well. Tina. Okay, Tina. Okay, Tina, there's somebody around you who you don't trust, or there's somebody in the past who's mistreated you, and that's why you don't trust somebody in the present. So there's these behaviors from somebody, and it's either the person you're around at the moment, or it's somebody in your past, and now you're expecting the person in your present to behave the same way. And I feel like this is somebody who is really, really wonderful to you, really kind to you. And then on like a die or a flick of the switch, it just flips and they become really nasty. And they flip back to nice, and then they become nasty. And this is really, really unhealthy for you. It's really, really unhealthy for you. And I feel that it's a situation that if it's in the past, you need to not project onto the present. But if it is the present person, you kind of need to get out of there. That's the sense that I get. So with the Two of Swords showing up, this is the conflict that you have there. And it's just like you can't tell what you're getting with this person. But when this person gets nasty, they're showing you their true colors. They're not a King of Cups, not in a healthy way anyway. They are a bit more volatile, not good for you. And you're a bit scared to leave and go it alone. Or if that's the situation in the past, then you're a bit scared to allow the person in the present to be something other than that. Those are the two possibilities there. But with the Nine of Swords, you kind of have to face your fears one way or the other. So if this person's mistreating you, you get out because that's better than what you're dealing with. But if you're projecting something from the past onto somebody else, then you need to face up and see who this person actually is, so they haven't mistreated you yet. If they have, you leave. But you need to be quite focused, decisive, and quick-minded with the Knight of Swords. Don't hang about. Don't hang around. Because I feel with the Hierophant showing up, you will prove yourself to yourself in this way. And you'll lose this level of control that that person, either in your present or in your past, has on you. That's the main message I have coming through for you. I hope that resonates for you. Let me see who else I am drawn to. Trisha is asking for a message. Let me have a look for you, Trisha. Obviously, these are brief messages, and it's just quickly what they're giving to me without me going into huge depth. So if you'd like to go into these in more detail, please book a personal reading with me. We can look, fully examine your situation, what's behind it, and how you can build in relation to it. Trisha. Hi, Tina. I feel like you're expecting that situation to occur again. This is really difficult. There's a lot of healing that you need to do. But a big part of this is it's going through that wound. And that means deep healing. That means an appropriate therapy or spiritual worker or something similar to help you. It's not straightforward. I live with complex PTSD myself, so it's not straightforward. And obviously, while I can't give medical advice, it's kind of like it's reached a stage where you're going to have to start to work through that in the appropriate setting in order to be able to trust people in the future. That's not simple, obviously, but that makes sense what you're telling me. So Trisha, okay, Trisha. Trisha, you're not really allowing yourself to be wonderfully happy in the moment. I feel like you're happy for a moment, and then you start to doubt it or start to say, oh, actually, I'm not allowed that. I'm not allowed to be happy. There's something up here. Something's wrong. I'd better move away from it. So I feel like you might try to assert control through this kind of avoidance, if that makes sense, rather than allowing things to develop. So with the Seven of Cups coming up, the message is that you need to allow things to develop a bit more. Trust the things that you're enjoying. Allow them to develop, rather than sort of being, oh, actually, I think I'm supposed to be a bit sadder here, so I'm going to walk away from this. You don't need to be exiting. It's not about the Eight of Cups. That's not where you're at. Instead, I feel that you need to allow yourself to grow into these situations and allow them to transform. I feel that you're letting go of an old version of you that wasn't able to be content or to be happy. But with death showing up, something new is coming about for you. These situations can become far, far more for you if you're prepared to allow them to happen. Because I feel that at the moment, you're like expecting to be disappointed with the Five of Cups. Maybe you're giving yourself a hard time. Like you can't allow yourself to be happy. But you absolutely can. You absolutely can, Trisha. You absolutely can. But it means relinquishing the control. You see, I feel that what you're doing at the moment is, it's a learned pattern. It's where you start to control things by not allowing yourself to be happy. With the Eight of Swords, you need to relinquish that control, because some situations in your life are quite good right now. You're allowed to value them, to trust them, to feel into them, and allow them to have you develop into something more and have them develop into something more as well. You're changing and you're growing. This is really positive and exciting, but you have to allow that process to happen, Trisha. I hope that makes sense to you. Hi, Pearl. Okay, let me see who else I am drawn to. Patricia is asking for a general message. Let me have a look for you, Patricia. Patricia. Okay, Patricia. General message for Patricia. Okay, Patricia. Okay, Patricia, I feel like you have at least one child. I feel this relates to a child. I feel it relates to a child who has started to grow up, develop a bit, and it's kind of like you're almost like thinking back to when they were a baby or really, really young, or if they're a baby now, you're worried about what happens when they're not a baby anymore, but you're kind of attached to this phase in their life. And the sense that I get is that there's not quite enough space for them to grow. So like that stage is happy and it's content, but you're a bit scared about what happens when the kid starts to grow up a bit. You don't necessarily feel equipped to deal with it, feel like you have to learn so much, do so much. But I feel like you can be a bit more relaxed than that. This is about the Nine of Cups. I feel you can be really hopeful. I feel like you're a good parent, you're a strong parent, you're a positive parent. You don't need to feel like such an amateur with the Page of Swords. You're in a much, much stronger place, and you're going to be able to support your child through their development. I feel the child shows up as the Page of Pentacles. So they're going to grow, develop, want to do things that might scare you at times, might feel you a bit foreboding at times, but they're going to be able to do that, and you can encourage them and show them love. I feel that as you do that, you'll become closer and closer to them with the Ace of Cups. I feel this becomes more and more exciting for you, and I feel with the Emperor, they grow into a much stronger and more rounded child with strong roots, strong foundations, who's able to achieve far more in life. So far from things getting weaker or more difficult, or you needing to be so worried or overthink things, I think you're doing absolutely fine. I think they're going to be absolutely fine. You just need to be more optimistic within that space. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. Bless 9819. Can I ask a yes or no question? The guy that I care for, is he mad at me? Thank you, Patricia. That's just the strong sense I get, is that's the focus. So Bless 9189 wants to know about whether the guy in your life is mad at you. Let me have a look for you, Bless. he mad? Okay. This isn't the most loving of relationships at the moment, to say the least. Is he mad at you? He feels quite isolated, but you're quite fearful. You're looking for the way forward with the star, but the moon is getting you quite fearful. It's making you feel like you're locked into something you don't necessarily want to be in. And so you're in this space where you're a bit disappointed, feeling neglected. It doesn't feel great. So I feel like you're feeling neglected more than anything else. Now he has the 6 of Swords showing up. He has the 9 of Wands showing up. And he has the Page of Swords showing up. And therefore, I feel that he's trying to learn and understand from this situation. I feel that you balance each other out well as people. I feel like he feels under pressure. He's under pressure, and that might come out at times as a defensiveness. It might come out as a defensiveness, or just with him closing off, and you might feel quite let down as a result. I feel like there's a lot of fear around you. There's not a lot of communication in this relationship. There needs to be a lot of communication with justice, a lot of talking to each other, sorting things out. I feel that otherwise things are going to be quite unpleasant, uncomfortable, and that's just not wonderful. And I feel like you're not going to get anywhere as things are at the moment. If you talk to each other, you might do. If you actually talk to each other and treat each other respectfully, you might do. But at the moment, your heads are down. Your heads are really down, both of you. And that's just not, it's not good. It needs communication to sort it out. I feel like you're trying to see the best in him, and you're trying to just show the right way for him, but you're not really connecting. That needs communication and deeper connection. I hope that makes sense to you. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. That's all I can do tonight. I wish you all a wonderful equinox and full moon. I hope all of your rituals go well. If my readings help you, please feel free to leave me a tip. The details are just below. If you'd like to book me for a full personal reading, please do so. We can cover any situation or area of life, or just look into how things are generally. We can pick up on anything that came up tonight or anything else, and I'd be really happy to work with you. Please follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. Please get in touch if there's anything at all I can help you with, or if you'd like to connect with me or collaborate with me. Thank you also so much for being so kind and creating this lovely, warm atmosphere and such a wonderful space that makes it far easier for me to connect and read for you. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all again really soon. Thank you.